everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sporting Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderploeg, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, Sporting Kansas City unfortunately extended their winless streak to 4 games on Saturday night, losing to the visiting Western Conference leaders San Diego FC 2-0. While the results seem somewhat predictable to the proprietors of this podcast and many of its listeners, if I'm honest, the performance that led to it was not. Sporting Kansas City largely limited San Diego's attack and created a flurry of chances of their own and probably deserved more from the final score than they received. That said, Sporting has been on the fortuitous end of several results this season, so it was only natural for that luck to turn away from them at some point, and San Diego's designated players both capitalized on some Sporting Kansas City errors with a level of lethality that unfortunately Sporting was not able to match themselves. This did lead to a bit of a dour mood on the Home and Away Discord in the hours following the match regarding how far the club appears to be from the top of the league at this point, and creating a second discussion as many days about how realistic it is to have optimism and hope for the future of this team. We'll dive into what is next for this club and at least why I specifically am a little bit bullish on its potential in the future. Finally, we'll discuss the Kansas City Current continuing to find a way to get results, the Tim Ford versus Vancouver saga, and preview Sporting Kansas City's upcoming trip to the home of Mickey Mouse. So, Cody, while we obviously, at the end of the podcast last week, had fairly low expectations of Sporting Kansas City's ability to get a result against San Diego, given both San Diego's quality this year and their style seeming to be the perfect foil for all the things that Sporting struggles to defend or had up until this point. That's not really how the match played out. Kerry Savagnin brought out a 4-4-2. It was really more of a 4-4-1-1 with Santi Munoz underneath Dejan Joveljic, Jake Davis and Zoran Pasong in a double pivot. And they largely limited San Diego's ability to progress the ball to scoring areas. So what did you think of KZ's tactical choice here? Perhaps more importantly, how the players were able to execute it.
Well, I think that what I texted you is, and I still feel pretty strongly about this, is that in this game, the bad KZ is the one that subbed in, right? That chose the subs. The good KZ, we got the good KZ from the very start because that was the team and the lineup and the tactics to do the job, and I thought that they acquitted themselves really nicely. I mean, I was really impressed, and in addition to being impressed by their organization and their engagement and their willingness to fight, I was also really impressed that the game was not boring, right? Like they didn't just bunker in and try and weather the storm. I mean, they were active defensively, but they were also, I think, proactive defensively, and they had a lot of good attacking chances too. And I think that sometimes things don't go your way. I mean, we had a game earlier this year versus the Galaxy where we didn't even take a shot and still won the game, and we shouldn't have won that game, and we should have won this game. Like, frankly, we won the XG battle, and we just weren't able to
comprehensively won the
pretty
XG
comprehensively.
battle.
Yeah. I mean, we really, really limited the chances of San Diego, and San Diego are a superb team. Like, they are one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the league, and we kept them from doing what they like to do and what they wanted to do, and man, kudos to Zavagnin and the team for doing that. I thought it was It's really hard to be like effusive about a 2-0 loss, but I was just so impressed with what I saw from them. What did you think?
I think that it was nice to see a bunch of people that I respect the opinion of having the same opinion as me, because sometimes I feel like, and perhaps I get this a little bit on the Discord as well, as being a little too positive or having a little bit too positive of a point of view on what the current situation is with the club. And part of it is just me as a fan of the team not wanting to put myself in a position where I have to think that they're terrible all the time. But also, like, I really like the whole match. I was just like, this is a competent professional performance from this team and a really smart tactical plan that was executed almost perfectly, right? San Diego capitalized on a couple mistakes, and they just happened. You know, their best players took advantage of those mistakes in those environments, and even the one with Dreyer was a small mistake, right? It wasn't a huge one, but it was a small one that allowed Luca Della Torre enough time and space to just pick out that pass. There was no ball pressure in that environment. That is something that Munoz or Joveljic has to press the ball there. But other than that, like, they were largely very good and professional. And I think, and so I was fairly positive on it. I saw a lot of the negative takes in the Discord, and I understand, like, a 2-0 loss in the fourth game in a row without a win. They've got one draw in the last 4 games. That's the only point they have. I can understand from a fan perspective why it may feel bad from the result. But I thought it was one of their best performances of the year. And it was good to see that sort of borne out by other. I mean, you texted me, you were like, this is the first time all year where I thought if we had better players, we would have won. or deserve, you know what I mean? And yeah. I think Matt Doyle said it in his breakdown. He was like, they moved to the double pivot and probably played their best game of the season. And it's something I think they should have done a while ago.
Yep.
You have been calling for the double pivot to be a thing for a minute. We discussed last week why we think it hasn't been employed until now, and it's been more for the development of Jacob Bartlett than anything else. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're going to see against Orlando, which is a much different team and in their stadium, who is also playing extremely well right now. But just on the basis of that singular performance, I thought it was the best, like, cohesive performance we've seen all year. The only thing that gives me pause, it is the only one we've seen like that all year. Right?
Yeah.
And so am I reading too much into it by praising it? We're going to have to wait and see, right? We're going to have to see if they're able to maintain that level of execution. Because one of the things that I had also brought up several times this year is that the problem this team has is everybody has to have a good game for them to play well. And that sort of happened, right? I mean, maybe not on the finishing side of things, but certainly on the defensive side of things. And their organization was really, really good. I think, I mean, and get as mad as you want about Shoppy and Shallowy's finishing in this game. They're making all the right runs. They're making all the right passes. Like, all of the stuff was good. Just the end product wasn't. So, like, everything about the execution was really good except ball go in net, ball don't go in net, right? And
I would quibble with Shoppy's performance on that. I totally agree with regards to Shallowy.
His runs were good. He got on the end of a lot of progressive passes into scoring areas. He just didn't do jack shit once he got there. Shallowy, I have quibbles with Shallowy's stuff too. Shallowy took some shots when he could have squared it for a tap in. There are some issues I have with the choices that he made as well. But I mean, those are small, right? We're like nitpicking at this point. I think the point that I'm making is that there were a lot of players played at or near the best level we could expect for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how realistic it is to expect that to continue. Like, Kyrie Shelton had his best game of the year.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that we still didn't see a solution to the problem of how does Sporting get their best players and their most effective players all on the field at the same time, because obviously Santi Munoz started the game, but he came out he came out when Manu Garcia came on, so we still don't
have an answer for that.
We still didn't see those two players on the field together. Jacob Bartlett was a sub, and
sub is what it seemed like because of Ndenbe's injury, right?
It did very much seem that way. There was no reason to sub him in because, Zoran Basong played just a fucking phenomenal game. I mean, that guy, hats off to him. I've basically been on the fence with him, especially as a midfielder, and thinking that maybe, like he was okay, but you don't want to be dependent on Zoran Basong. But I mean, he was. I texted you that he was the best player on the pitch, and I really think that during the first half, before he got moved to left back, he was a monster. He was everywhere, doing everything. He was making good passes. He was being proactive defensively. He was winning the ball. I mean, he was a really disruptive force, and I thought played just an absolutely phenomenal game. I was so impressed with him, and if that is, I mean, if he can bump it up to where that's that kind of game is a more regular occurrence, then he might be a starting caliber center fielder. Oh my gosh, central midfielder in this league.
I'm not sure if I'm ready to go that far with him yet. I mean, this was a singular performance. It was really positive. I think it is important to to remember, as Daniel Sperry said, this double pivot with Jake and Basong is what started the Open Cup final. Yeah. Like this is a grouping that has had success in the past together. So to see them break it back out again and for it to work, especially against a team like San Diego where closing gaps is really important. I think that showed that there might be potential here. I think Bartlett was lumpy, but also to Bartlett's credit, he's never played in a double pivot for this team. He's always been a single pivot 6. I think even Carey said after the game, we've never used him this way, and his traits lead him more towards the single pivot type 6. So, it would be expected that he would struggle at some level with it. I think he was extremely aggressive physically first. Like he was diving into pressure a lot. I don't know if he burned himself out too fast or what, but then I saw him doing some of the Bartlett things I don't like, which is sitting off the ball a little bit too much. He's not pressuring the ball in zone 14 enough, and that has something to do with why Dreyer was able to walk into goal on the play that he was able to do it on. But then in the last 20 minutes, I started to see him using his body and his physicality a little bit more to win duels. So I think he sort of played into the game. Either way, your point is, I wholeheartedly agree with. Basong was fantastic in this match and was still great when he moved to left back. Yeah. Although he's a little lost on the Dreyer goal. I don't like that. But he, for the most part, was very good at that position as well.
I think the Dreyer goal was, that was, he wasn't the only one who was lost. I mean, there were
the whole defensive posture was poor.
Yeah, there was a cascade of issues that led to that goal, but
right.
But yeah,
the fact that De La Torre just sat on the ball for 5 seconds and just pulled, you just can't ever let that happen, man. Oh. You just cannot do that. I understand why they allowed San Diego to do that with the ball at their feet in their own 18-yard box when they're trying to invite pressure. I thought that was fantastic, by the way. What Sporting did there did not allow themselves to get baited into the pressure. Just stood there. There were several circumstances where San Diego had a goal kick and they just did the one sideways, and the center back just stood on the ball for 5 seconds and Sporting just stared at him.
Yep.
Like, no, I'm not going to press. Sorry. Figure something else out.
Yeah.
And it's why the field tilt, while only having 42% possession, the field tilt was way in Sporting's favor. Because San Diego rarely possessed the ball in Sporting's half. And so I did like that. That was actually good.
The thing that really impressed me about the double pivot is those two players, Basong and Davis. They weren't just in there, as two destroyers, right? Both of them were among the leaders in touches for the team. Both of them had really active games passing and passing the ball progressively forward. So I thought that they had really well balanced all around games, both of them, and I think that's if you're going to run a double pivot, that's what you need. You have to have players who are going to be able to do both of those things.
So are you okay with Basong and his want to sort of jump forward into pressure and leave space behind him? Because that is a thing, and Chad Reynolds texted me about this, and it is a problem that he has with Basong's game, and I understand it to a certain level. he's an aggressive central midfielder,
Right.
and if he misses, there's a lot of space behind him.
Yeah, but it seems like that he doesn't get punished for that very often. He seems to choose his times pretty wisely, and a lot of it also depends on who's behind him. Do I feel better about him with Volater behind him than with Joaquin behind him? Absolutely, right.
Yeah,
So
fair point.
so if he has some coverage, I think that it's okay. And we've talked a lot about it's not just these players, their individual skill sets in bubbles on the field. It's how they interact and play with one another. And I think that Volater being on the field had a large knock on effect in terms of the solid performance of the team. I mean, I don't think it's nearly as comprehensive and impressive if Fernandez is out there playing. So it's.
I think also the structure of the two banks of four means
Yeah.
that he's also got he can have shallow, he get narrow if necessary
Mm-hmm.
to help cover space. I think where Basong has had issues in the past is playing as an 8 and a 4-3-3.
It's too much space to roam.
It's too much space, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where he can sometimes get out of position a little bit too much, and especially with Manu not really being someone who's going to help him cover that space if he leaves it, and Bartlett being so reserved in his positioning. I think that some of that is structural, whereas in the double pivot, first of all, he has a partner in the double pivot who is also a grass cutter, right? Like he's
Right.
covering a lot of space as well, along with having sort of those wingers are pulled back into sort of wide midfield positions, and it gives him a little bit of space cover, combined with having a much more mobile left center back behind him, right? All of those things,
and not
sort
only
of.
that, but then he is also as the left side in the double pivot, he also bears responsibility for helping cover for Ndembe when Ndembe goes upfield, and so that helps sort of ground him and keep him nailed in where he needs to be, and that has the effect of making him a more effective central midfielder.
I think part of it too, at least, and I said this to Chad, I think part of it is also just PTSD from the fact that this team is so terrible about the next step when somebody goes to press the ball,
Yeah.
that it's just like you're afraid every time someone goes forward to do ball pressure, when in reality that is what has to happen by a central midfielder has to be doing that.
Sure.
Otherwise you're just letting the opponent walk it down into zone 14. Why would you do that? Right?
Ask Nemanja Radia. I don't know.
Every time I see him on the field, I just think of the John Travolta meme. Like, just like, huh?
Yeah.
Where'd everybody go? But yeah, I think that it's going to be wait and see if we see this type of setup again, if it is this successful when we see this type of setup. I mean, historically, with Peter Vermees, you get a performance like this, it is 100% run it back time
Right.
next week, right? I don't get the sense Carey is that type of coach.
Right.
He saw this as a very specific setup for this very specific opponent with the specific available personnel that he had, right?
Yep.
With Manu not being fit to start, this was the best way to go about it. So I will be fascinated to see what he does against Orlando, because that is a completely different tactical problem to solve. But I did think that the game plan was really, really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. I will quibble a little bit with some. I don't know if it's questionable tactics from KZ or if it's just kind of the way that the team has always done things, and it's just a carryover from of old bad habits. But this thing that happens where. So I want to focus on the two wide players, on Shallowy and Shoppy, right? And so, absolutely, in their the standard 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 even that they play, having them be inverted is a good thing, right? You want them cutting in and able to shoot. If they're wide midfielders, if they're not playing forward wingers, if they're wide midfielders in a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1, you don't really need or
I'm
want
glad you're bringing this up because I agree
them.
with you completely where you're going here.
You don't need or want them to be inverted. In fact, you want them to stay wide. And so and the times this season where or even last season, or with Shallowy and Russell, where we've seen them switch sides, like they just switch sides, like just to switch sides. Like I don't see them play any differently when they do switch sides. Which it would be a nice wrinkle to have if, like, you could switch Shallowy over to the right and he's like pumping in crosses, right, as a wide midfielder. That would be like something cool and different.
Well, this bore itself out too because both Shallowy and Shoppy ended up having to take a lot of significant touches on their off foot because of the structure of this sort of wide mid. They did end up on the ball for much wider areas.
Yeah.
They weren't as narrow as you typically see them, at least in the first half. And so, Shoppy had actually hit 2 crosses with his right foot. But there were a couple goal scoring chances that were on his right foot and he just could do nothing with. And similarly, Shallowy took a couple with his left as well. And I'm much more confident in Shallowy's abilities to use both his feet than I am in Shoppy. But still, it's not like Shoppy is Hungmin's son finishing with his left, right? Like he's fine, but it's not like, I don't know that that's ideal. And so I think that I'm so glad you brought this up because I did notice this in the game that because they're playing as wide midfielders, their ability to get on their dominant foot was limited.
Yeah. So why box yourself in that way, right? So it's just a minor quibble, but it connects to that, the switching issue that I've seen previously, and who knows what that's coming from. If that's just players being players and playing the way that they know to play,
just a style.
Yeah,
I've seen Shoppy play on the left and still cut inside over and over again.
Sure.
Like even when he's on the left side, it makes no sense to me. I just don't think he's a guy that likes to go to the end line. I just don't think he's forced there all the time because his opponents know he don't want to go there, but he don't want to go there anyway. No, he doesn't want to go there, but he's still like, I don't know, that you would want a more adept crossing player if you're going to play a wide midfielder, which was nice. We did get to see Steven Afrifa for a little bit.
Yes,
and he did loop one in that was pretty nice.
He did.
Austin Gordon's going to be getting very excited about Steven Afrifa and his potential for minutes going forward. I don't think it's going to mean much, but
I don't think so either.
I do think Afrifa was decent. He was, when Afrifa came on, he was basically playing as a wing back, which was another kind of wild choice at the end of the game from Savagnin. So you talked about good carry and bad carry. Good carry showed up at the beginning of the game with a very sort of nuanced and thoughtful tactical plan and personnel grouping, and then substitute carry kind of just went into throwing shit at the wall.
For real, it was crazy. Except he threw everything at the wall except the one thing I wanted him to throw at the wall, which is just sticking Manu and Santiago on the field together. That's all I really wanted. But
that was the part I was probably the most frustrated by when seeing how the end of the game went with this 3-4-3 with Manu playing as a left winger and Shallowy and Afrifa playing as wing backs. Was like, okay, if you're willing to do this. Mm-hmm. Why can't Santi Munoz participate in this?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand if you're trying to maintain structure, you want things to be a certain way. Okay, fine. But if you're willing to do what he did at the end of the game, then I feel like Santi can play a part. I don't know what Santi's fitness is like. That's the only thing that the least bit makes sense as to why he keeps getting he never starts and he's off by the hour mark every time. Although he played 90 minutes in San Diego, didn't he? So I don't know. I think he did when
I think
Joveljic
it's
was.
a stylistic fit or misfit more than anything. I think it really is a conundrum, like how to put him on the field, how to get the best out of him,
I mean,
how to put him and
he
Manu
and
together.
Manu do go in the same places a lot.
Yeah,
Like, and
absolutely.
Manu was quote unquote playing left wing, but he was
he
everywhere,
was
dude.
he was he had like almost as many touches as the other midfielders, and he played a fraction of their time. Like he was just
It,
dropping
and they
deep,
were and they were
receive,
in
ping.
every vertical channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
They were not on the left
Yeah,
nominally. They were in every vertical channel. He was dropping dimes from the right corner of the 18. So yeah, I think that yeah, I mean, maybe that's the concern is that if you have him and Munoz as your two quote unquote wingers or whatever is happening there, that there's just literally no cover wide. But that's what I'm saying. It's like if you're willing to put Shallowy in a free fed wing back, then what the
yeah,
hell?
yeah. Just play wingbacks. Absolutely. Which is something that that you and I have been talking about for a while. So
No shit. Yeah, I mean,
if only
th-
this were
it
Football Manager, we could just trot it out and see
well,
what works.
this did open up sort of a potential to me. It's like if you're willing to do Manu as a quote unquote forward, now we can keep the double pivot alive and get Manu on the field,
Yeah,
right? And I if you look at how Columbus plays or did play when they were at their best, right? When they had Rossi, Cucho, and who was the was it Christian Ramirez? I guess was kind of what like at
center
their at their
forward. Yeah,
at their best, right? Those guys, any three of those guys could be in any place on the field,
yep,
right? And
yep.
the others just knew to rotate into the other spaces. I consider both Manu and Santi to be players that interpret space well enough to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're both players who make the players around them better, right? They're not just like service dependent scorers like Joveljic is. I mean, Joveljic, I get it. I understand. He's a good player. He just has a very limited skill set. He
He
doesn't
does,
make the players.
but he's still better at it than Polito is, in my
Oh,
opinion. Right?
100%. Like
So like,
I'm not casting dispersions at Joveljic. I'm just saying that you have to, you have to use him in a way that gets the best out of him. And that is like don't depend on him to create chances for his teammates because that's just not his thing, man. Like,
no, he got a couple really nice shots off, and they were off of really nice passes, right?
right,
But
right.
he knows how to run into a place. He just needs someone who can find the pass to him there.
Yeah, I
And
wish there were people finding deep passes to him like San Diego's midfielders and defenders were finding passes up to their forward line, right? Like
yeah,
playing those passes in behind those little looped balls where you just you chest down the ball and
this is
maybe you get a shot, maybe you don't, but like I want to see that from
this is
Joveljic. He can play that. He's good at that.
He can, and this is I do think a remnant of the Peter Vermees
Yeah.
architecture,
Yep.
which is all of the through balls go to wingers. They
Yeah.
don't go to the center forward,
Yeah.
right?
Or
And
even over balls, right? Everything is funneled out wide and
it's diagonal. Yeah.
right. Right.
Mhm.
And you're just
Manu
relying.
too. I mean, Manu hit us several of these over balls that were too shallowy or to. I guess it was like Mason Toy at one point, but yeah, it was. They're very rarely to Joveljic, and it's
Yeah.
not like Joveljic isn't making those runs. I've seen him make the run,
Amen.
stop, and come back.
And we know from his time with Galaxy that he that's in my mind the Joveljic quintessential goal is him receiving the ball at his feet with one touch goal, right? And moving towards goal, being proactive in that sense. And that's not something we've been able to see him do very much with this club. And I hope that changes.
Yeah. I mean, I will give San Diego credit in the last half hour. They clogged the box. Like there wasn't a whole lot of space there. And that was why Manu was doing a lot of the Manu things, chipping the ball over the top. They also settled for a ton of crosses, man.
Yeah.
There were so many crosses, and some of them actually turned into shots. They weren't at least get to the end line hopeful cross all the time. There were a few of them. There were a lot of early crosses, like guys with hands in the air, early crosses that almost came off. But still, 31 crosses, generally not a good thing to see.
Anything over 20 is usually bad news.
Usually we're getting into hopeful cross
So,
territory.
but I'm glad you brought up the crosses, because it brings to my mind a long-standing beef that I have with this team, and that is just the lack of back post runs. And we saw that again. Like, so many balls played either across the face of goal, or tentative shots that might have been able to be tapped in if there was somebody making that run. There was just like nobody ever making that run. And if you contrast that to a team like Seattle, for instance, Seattle always has players making that run. Rothrock bundled one in on Sunday night. Just by being in that vicinity, right? The ball was put there at the far post, and
I've got a mild quibble with this, because I watched some replays of stuff. There were runs. There were no passes to the run.
Okay,
I think that's the problem. I saw Shabby make the far post run several times, and Shallowy just not even look to hit it. I saw the same thing happen with Shabby on the right side, where there were Joveljic and Shallowy were kind of both shaded to the far post, and it was like head down, shoot at goal. So I do think that you're right that they aren't trying to complete that play, but I think there are more, at least in this game, there were more multi-forward runs toward goal than I remember seeing. I just don't think that they're adept at picking that pass out. I will also say CJ Dos Santos had a very good game in this one.
He did, absolutely.
And cut out a lot of stuff that they tried to do.
And John Pulskamp did not.
No.
This was not, I think I'll defer to Chad Reynolds, who called out his footwork and his positioning on the Lozano goal, and fine. Like, if he should have saved that, then that's definitely on him. But that wasn't it. Like, he had a couple of really bad giveaways, and just trying to play with his feet, and just was not up to the task at all. And like, you can't do that.
It's one of his worst ones in a while. I mean, But you know what? 24-year-old goalkeeper in his first real season as a starter, who has been mostly quite good for the last several months.
He's the reason. He's the only reason why you can even say maybe the Sporting have a chance mathematically to get a playoff spot. Like, without him, they're not here.
They don't beat Colorado while giving up 4 xG.
No,
if he's not making huge saves, although the post had a lot to do with that game as well. Got hit several times by the Rapids.
Hey, sometimes you're lucky and good. It's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we've discussed several times about how maybe he's statistically not like an insane goalkeeper, but he makes key saves at the right time. Look, the shot, the tackle and the dispossession by Chucky Lozano, it was very sort of. It was a prime example of something that I brought up last week in our preview, which is both Dreyer and Lozano defend a lot. Like, they are two-way players who participate in the structure of this team. So Chucky making the back pressure and sort of taking advantage of a bit of a naive touch by Jansen Miller and turning him over. Great. And then just sort of the 1-2 and then the shot. And the shot is very good. I don't want to give Pulskamp too much stick, but I will tell you the same thing that Chad told me at the time. Because I was like, Pulskamp's got to do better than that, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, I hate the turnover, but Pulskamp has to do better. And he said to me, and I think he said it on the Discord as well, you wouldn't see Pulskamp motherfucking himself after the play if he didn't know that he did something wrong.
Sure.
And he was. Like, he was mad at himself afterward.
Yeah.
So I think two things can be true. I think it can be a great shot, and I think Pulskamp also probably wants to do better on that one. If it's to the far corner or something like that and he can't reach it, one thing, but it was like straight over his head.
Yeah.
So I think that it happens, man. It happens. The whole Dreyer play we've discussed already. Luca Della Torre has years to pick out this pass. and no one is man marking Dreyer. He's just sort of standing in a pocket between players.
Well, I think Voliter comes out and
Yeah.
and then Dreyer runs right past in the hole that Voliter just opened up, and Basong is standing there like, what? And that was that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but also, like, Bartlett could have just shouldered him on the run a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just,
I mean, this team does not do that, right? Like, they don't. They
had done more of it in this game, but in that sequence, I just remember actually watching it and going, "They're just standing. They're just standing, waiting for something to happen."
Their defensive confrontations, when they actually confront attacking players, happens either in their attacking third or in the midfield. Once an opposition gets to the defensive third, they like refuse to be physical and
close the ball,
to close, and so it's like that is. You see it time and time again, and if you watch better teams play, they don't do that, right? Better teams are the aggressors defensively, even when they're in their defensive third, and they make tackles and they win balls and they stop attacks. And this team is just, they don't have the personnel to do that right now.
Yeah, I mean, it was hotter than Hades for this game, dude. Yeah. Like, I mean, it was, the temperature was hot, but it was super humid. Yeah. It was, I mean, I do think that helped Sporting a little bit, because I don't think San Diego was able to run at the pace they normally do because of that. But also, like, it looked like a bunch of, like, absolutely worn out dudes on that Dreyer play, for sure. Just a lot of people that just, and this happens in games.
Yeah.
When you get a little bit, and maybe that's why Santi gets subbed out, honestly, because he's, somebody's got to go press there, and nobody did. And maybe, like, their mental exhaustion is a thing in heat too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
absolutely.
When you get physically exhausted, it's hard for you to keep your brain locked in and to get yourself motivated to go make the movements that you need to make. And sometimes this shit happens. It's just kind of the way it goes.
Yep.
Okay, I think we covered a lot of the tactical stuff. Was there anything tactical wrinkle-wise, anything? I mean, it was by far the most interesting game this team's played in a while, too. I think I texted you this. We have been dying for something new and interesting to discuss around this team, because just talking about the fact that the roster isn't very good and they have holes and they're playing this, similar structure. That was the other thing I was so happy about, is like, there's so many new things to discuss.
Yeah.
So what did I miss? What haven't we discussed yet?
I mean, nothing comes to mind. I just think that the big takeaways are, I think number one for me is the use of the double pivot. I think that it was on display in this game. Why the two of us have been clamoring for it, and I think that just in light of that, it really does make sense that the single pivot has been deployed primarily as a development tool for Jacob Bartlett, and I'm not going to make a judgment on that. It is what it is, and it's fine. Like I don't think this team going with a double pivot for most of the season it really would have raised their ceiling a whole lot, right? Like it might have been from 12th up to 9th or something. Maybe we sneak into a play-in game. I don't know. And I frankly, like, I don't even really care that much. Like making the playoffs is not even that important to me as a fan or someone who watches this team this year. So there's that. Otherwise, I think that my major gripe was not seeing Munoz and Garcia on the field at the same time. But aside from that, I mean, I think that there were a lot of good things to take away from this game. I think that seeing the impact of Voliter in the defense, I think that was a good thing to see. I think that Basong having the game that he did was an incredibly positive thing. And the truth is if Shallowy makes a few better decisions, we are talking about this game completely differently. And well, maybe not completely differently because we're still pretty positive about it. But this game looks way better than what it does. And so
Matt Demline is in his dower in the Discord
right,
after the
right.
game.
Hey, Matt, man, just chill out because MU football hasn't even started yet, man.
Come on, man. You can't be this upset already. No, we're giving Matt a little bit of a go because some people had a little bit of a go with him. And if you know Matt, you know that this is his standard sports fan posture. Like this isn't him actually. He's probably one of the bigger sports fans on earth, to be completely honest. I do think there was, and I think I said this to you earlier before we started recording, I do think there was some part of the fact that this game did not end until after 10 p.m. Central. So it was 11 p.m. Eastern time. Matt will have to tell me how many glasses of wine he was in at this point, but he was still posting fairly late into the evening on the East Coast. So, look, it happens. We all have morose feelings about our sports teams at times.
Absolutely. And frankly, this team has not given its fans a lot of reason to be positive or optimistic in the last couple of years. So that's an honest response. So I have no problem with it. Usually I'm the really grouchy one and the one who's super down on the team, and so Drew has a lot of experience of talking me down and putting things in a different light, and I appreciate that, and I think that I hope the Discord appreciates it too, because it's it's
differing points of view are valid. Like,
right.
I'm a pluralist, man. I may not agree with what you say, but I can understand it, right? And that's how. Accepting more than one idea is okay.
Sure. We want to have a balanced and nuanced view of the team, and so we don't ever want to be like all positive or all negative. We want to be able to sort of be objective and listen to others' opinions. So,
speaking of negative opinions,
let's go.
You and I disagree on this one a little bit. I'm kind of done with Logan and Denbei.
You are, aren't you? Yeah, I see where you're coming from, but I think that on the list of things that I think need to be changed in this team, he is way down on that list.
Well, I'm more thinking of it as like he's out of contract at the end of this season. I'm not really interested in giving him another $500,000 or $600,000 a year contract.
I mean,
this is my point.
Look, well, I I can appreciate that, but he is so good at what he does, and he progresses the ball time and time again in huge chunks down that left wing, and
we gotta start playing a back three then, because I can't.
Let's go.
I can't have him just sort of just deciding not to retreat defensively in a back four. You just can't have that, man. He's not fucking Trent Alexander-Arnold, okay? Like, he's not that good, okay?
That's true.
If he was providing that much value in the attacking end of the field, I could say it. He's not Serginho Dest, okay? Like, he's not one of those guys that is so valuable in the attack that he can just sort of decide not to play defense.
Is Serginho Dest that valuable?
I mean, he was saucing it up for PSV this weekend. He had a goal, several dribbly boy moves that he
Okay.
I love Dest. I'm an admitted Dest lover. Like, I think he is the U.S. men's national team is so low on sauce.
That's true, but I think that's clouding your perception a little bit.
Perhaps.
I just think I think he's way more sizzle than steak, man. He's not my cup of tea, but I understand that people. I mean, like that.
he's an immature player for sure, and
but he's not. He's like 25, man.
No, but he plays as.
I know what you meant. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying by age he's. Well, I mean, 25 is still. I mean, goddamn, I was a fucking idiot when I was 25 years old.
Hey, let me tell you, I am this year 50 years old, and I swear to God, at this point, anybody 25, between the ages 25 and 12, they're the same age to me. They all look like I don't know, 15. Maybe he's 10. I don't know. Maybe he's 25. I don't know. So everybody just looks like a child to me, and it's making me even grouchier. So. That's all right.
There's a guy that I sit with that his daughter has been coming to her games a lot, and she's been like drinking at the games, and I swear to God, she looks like she's 14. I was like, there's no, like, she's gonna get in trouble. What's going on? And they're like, no, she's 21. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Does she have a McLovin ID? Like, what's going on here? Yeah, so trust me, I understand exactly what you mean by all that. But anyway, so that is my spicy take. I'm good. Here's the thing, Logan and Denbei is on like $550,000 a year this year. He's gonna want even more than that,
Sure,
to stay. I just don't think he's that good of a fullback to bring back on that kind of figure.
Yeah,
That also means you have to replace him. Like, I understand.
That's
like,
the problem, right?
There's
like
replacing him.
How many players are you really going to want to replace this winter?
I mean, they're talking like 17.
I know how many I would want to replace, but like, how realistically,
this isn't a football manager either, right? Like, this is an actual team with 2 front office staff right now,
right?
So yeah, there is that. We'll get to that here in a second. What about Shoppy? Are we ready to send Shoppy to the bench?
I'm done. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. He is a.
This was like the worst Shoppy experience. They haven't been good in a lot of circumstances, but this was really bad.
Well, and the thing is you know, in a similar way to Joveljic, like, he doesn't make the players around him any better, right? He's not you know, dynamic enough of an attacker, or you know, physical enough of a defender to really make an impact when he's not having a good game, you know, in terms of shooting, and he doesn't have enough good games in shooting anyway to really justify being a starter. He is not a starting quality MLS winger. He's just not. And so
well, especially when you see a team like San Diego has 2 designated player wingers, and what they do with them, and then you see who Sporting is sending out at wingers.
It's not a gap; it's a chasm, right?
Yeah, it's significant.
And you know, the same thing applies to Shallowy to a lesser degree. I mean, you know,
Shallowy's a much better player than Shoppy.
Absolutely, but
that's not really saying.
If you're depending on Shallowy to be the best player on your team, you're fucked. You know, and I think
they're not. They're not. I mean, they have Manu and Joveljic, but yeah,
that was the case on Saturday, though. On Saturday,
right.
it was the Shallowy show, right? And you,
because he was the only one getting into space with
the
ball.
Sure.
Yeah.
But if that's it, if that's what you're hanging your hat on, you're not a good team. So I think upgrades.
Well, and maybe that's the point that needs to be made. I said earlier that the conversation has always been, for this team to have a really good performance, everybody has to be playing at top level. Well, everyone outside of the forward line played at a top level in this game, right? And
Joveljic didn't do anything.
Joveljic was, I mean, there were a couple circumstances. I mean, but yeah, Joveljic should have finished a couple chances. Munoz should have finished one. There were like several. It just. I do want to say it felt a little bit like sometimes ball don't go in kind of game, but yeah, you need more, and then you have the 2 designated players for San Diego who put the ball in the net.
That's really the thing, right? That's really the thing, and that was on display is like actual like good starting quality designated players, like they make their impact on games,
but I don't think it's fair to necessarily say that Joveljic is not one that does that, or that Manu is not one. Like, the designated players that Sporting has, I am perfectly fine with being designated players.
I am too.
They're both everyday starters for almost any team in this league.
I totally agree, and I'm sorry if it came off that I was saying otherwise.
I think that they both, like, Manu didn't play but 30 minutes, and Joveljic had an off day. Like, I think that's what happened in this one, and Chucky and Dreyer did not. And Dreyer hasn't had an off day all year, to be completely honest. Like, if there wasn't a diminutive Argentinian playing in Miami, he'd be the runaway MLS MVP.
Yep.
Like, he's really good, man. He's really good. Seeing him in person and seeing how he runs around and like the spaces he occupies, There was one play where when he was on well, we're both on the same half of the field, where they hit a long switch to him, and I was like, there's no way that he should be able to get to this ball, and he did, and no one was around him, and he ended up ripping off a really nice shot.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
like
You mean he didn't dribble it out of bounds on his shin?
No.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about Shabby? Like he like sort of.
I don't know. Am I talking about Shabby? Shabby was out of control that whole sequence.
That's where we. That's where we started with this conversation.
Poor guy.
Before we get to Alamontes, really quickly, I was, a couple weeks ago, I gave Jake Davis some stick for not showing us what he was capable of. And there's been some conversation about why he was coming off the bench and, the various things about his play recently, about earning his way on the field. The last 2 games, he has been the Jake Davis that we want.
Yeah.
Like, he has been very, very good. His progressive passing was really on display in this game. Even if Shoppy couldn't do anything with it, it was still very good.
And his performances have been mature too. You haven't seen him doing rash and
got a little haircut. He doesn't look as scruffy anymore.
Maybe that? I mean, it seems to have worked for what's his nuts up in Seattle. Getting the locks shorn off made him into a better player.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know. The guy, their number 10 that they signed.
Pedro De La Vega.
Yeah, De La Vega. Yeah, they moved him to left wing. He cut his hair. Now he's like a player.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He's getting a Puskas nominee, I think, for that goal in Leagues Cup too, where he hit didn't he hit like the both posts in the rear bar? Like the thing never hit the ground. It was kind of a wild goal.
Big high aesthetic points for that one.
Yeah, there were a lot of. Anyway, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think that you're right. That was a thing. It was a professional performance.
Yeah, that's all you got to do, man. Like, you're a good player. Just go out there and be a professional.
Just be yourself.
Yep.
And do the things that you do well. And it was on display. And I was very glad to see it. So like the second half versus Vancouver, when he came on, he was very good. And this whole game, he was very positive.
I mean, and that's something that's a positive thing we can say about KZ's man management too. Is that he didn't, it doesn't seem like he was relegated to the doghouse and never to be seen again, as we've seen in the past. It was, it's helping him work his way back into the team as a substitute and then as a starter, and it's a developmental approach, and I really appreciate it.
I obviously was very warmed and intrigued by the tactical plan going into this game by Zavagnin. But probably Zavagnan's best trait is his ability to manage a locker room and his ability to motivate players. That is by far the thing that he has brought to the table. And I got to be honest, like as MLS gets better and the players get better, it's going to be more about that kind of thing. Yeah. And it's also, like from a sports psychology perspective or a personal psychology perspective, the generational type of player that you're bringing, like when I say generational, I'm talking about like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, whatever. Like the players you're bringing in, he seems to have a style that might be a little bit more apt to get results out of players from those. If you're going to use a stereotype of the psychology of kids, players of that age. Yeah. He seemed to have connected really well with them in a way that Peter Vermees had not.
Vermees had a very old school elementary PE.
It's interesting
coach
because he acts like when you hear him talk, and so that was another thing that came up. He did an interview at some soccer symposium in Michigan. And he did an interview with a podcast there that was at that soccer thing, and I think he was a paid, speaker or something at it. But he did an interview there, and that version of Vermees is the one that I'm familiar with. The thoughtful guy that you talk to when you interact with him. He is a very, very thoughtful, intelligent person that has a good rationale for pretty much everything that he thinks. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure the person he thinks that he's being is the person that he's actually being. If
Sure.
that makes sense, right? Like, I don't think he's received in the way that he thinks that he's able to like do things. And so you see this guy who he's into the sports psychology, he's into the generational differences, he understands the gaps, but still that almost 60-year-old guy from New Jersey comes out,
Right.
right?
Right.
And
So,
yeah, it's
son of immigrants. I mean, there's a lot that goes
mhm.
into it.
Yeah.
First generation. Like
It's
that.
not like
It's
Carrie is especially young. Like, I think Carrie's your age, right? And I say your age. I
yes,
just turned
yes, Drew.
46.
We already said I'm old. We know.
Listen,
Jerk.
we're recording this on my 46th birthday. I'm in no position to talk about any
Happy
of this.
birthday, by the way.
Thanks, but I
What a,
think
what a
that,
trooper recording on your birthday. Wow.
yeah.
Either
Well,
trooper or loser, one of the
when
two.
you get into your mid 40s, the birthdays are just like, man, I'm getting a
Yeah,
little older.
you don't want to celebrate them, do
I
you?
really would prefer no one noticed.
I'm teaching 3rd through 5th graders this year, and when I tell them I'm 50, Jesus Christ, I might as well be telling them I'm 100 years old, dude. They're like, holy crap,
They're like,
you
how
are
was it
old."
with the dinosaurs?
It's ridiculous, man.
Have you seen a live woolly mammoth?
Basically, you are not far from the truth, man.
Yeah. Okay, last thing. Alan Montes did make his way onto the field in this sort of 3-4-3 thing where there were really only 3 defenders on the field, right? Like that, it was 3 defenders, 2 midfielders, and how many is that left? 5 forwards. 5 forwards.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But Alamontes came on. Did you take anything from this other than
No.
he was on the field? He
No.
had like one nice little ball in that I saw, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. But the thing is that are we going to see him as the 3rd center back at a regular basis? Almost certainly not. And so, I think he was just out there to provide some defensive
Get
cover
minutes.
and get some minutes. Yeah. So I read absolutely nothing into it, good or bad. It just is what it is.
Get on the field. He hadn't been practicing long enough to put him out there to start.
Absolutely.
Robbie candidly has earned the right to get some minutes this year,
Yeah.
given how he's played, and he
And
is playing
he
for a
showed
contract
why.
as well.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah. It is wild to me. It is so wild to me how much better the defense looks when he's on the field.
So look,
compared
man,
to Fernandez, man. Like Fernandez, this is a player who, was well regarded in Spain, went to Turkey and was making a pile of money. He's making not quite as much, but still a significant amount of money playing here. And Robbie Volader has not played in 2 months and immediately looked like infinitely more competent at the position.
The most important characteristic in your center backs is just rapport with one another. Like that's what it is, man. And that's why Verme struggled so much to get a functional pairing after Iko Para left, because it's just hard to match up skill sets and personalities, and Miller and Volader they sync together. They match up. Their strengths suit one another. They're able to cover for each other's weaknesses. They're a good tandem, and that it's going to make the decision of whether or not to give Volader another contract. I think a lot more difficult than we would have envisioned.
Or pick up Montez's buy option, one of those. I originally thought they didn't have to be mutually exclusive, but they might.
They might,
honestly.
Absolutely.
It really might be a situation where you're just not really sure. You have to choose one or the other. But you know what? That's why GMs and hopefully new CSOs make the big bucks, and they get to make those decisions. So let's move to that conversation. So the other sort of flashpoint conversation in the home and away Discord this week was kind of around the roster and how likely it is for this team to be successful next year, and where are we at with the chief soccer officer. And there were some negative opinions. Negative opinion is probably the wrong way to phrase it. There was significant concern about how likely it is for this team to rebuild itself in the time frame necessary for it to be competitive in 2026, given the amount of work that's left to do in the front office, in the roster, et cetera, et cetera. And I think I think it's fair to have concerns about it. I don't I don't necessarily prescribe to the perspective of predicting failure, but I do understand why there would be concerns about it. And this is your weekly reminder. Go check out the Home and Away Discord. Links in the show notes. There's a very often fervent conversation around this club, and a couple people have found it recently and was like, "Hey, I didn't even know this was here." There are people talking about this team in a way that I would appreciate. I think one of the things that a lot of us struggle with, and the reason we started the Discord, is social media is a terrible place to try to have these conversations because there's no nuance to it, and people just want to be mad and gotcha and all this other kind of stuff. In the Discord, we back and forth, we disagree. That's okay. We have different points of view, but there are, it's all legitimate fans of this team that, at some level have some concerns about where this team is. I think the first question, and Matt brought this up as well at the end of the San Diego game, which is some concerns about how long it's going to take for the team to get to a level of competitiveness that we would be comfortable with, or that most fans would be comfortable with. All of us have different expectations. I understand that. But Matt's concern after that game was just he saw a gap in capability between the two teams that was significant. I think you and I probably took it differently because we've been saying that for like 3 months. Like this roster's not good. There's just not enough there, and we saw a significant improvement in the performance of the players over what we'd seen. So we were kind of like, well,
just to be clear, I still don't think they're good, right?
No,
like the performance was good, but the roster still sucks.
There's a lot. Look, I said it earlier. I think Kyrie Shelton had one of his best performances this season at right back. That doesn't mean I think that he should be the right back of the future. That just means he played good in this game.
Yeah.
And I think
mostly it means that we think maybe KZ did a good job preparing for this game.
Right. He had the players dialed in to a game plan, and it shows that he is capable of that. So for me, that's also warming as well, as if he is meant to. I don't know if he's meant to or not. I think that there's a lot of things left to figure out as far as whether or not Zavagnin is the one they're going to roll with next year or not. I think if they do roll with him next year, it's probably going to be a short-term deal. I don't think it's going to be any kind of like, here's your 5-year contract. I think it might be a 1+1 kind of thing. Let's see how it goes. Which at some level is good, some level is bad. I have differing thoughts on like having a player coaching having a coach coaching for his job all the time. What does that do as far as like how they're developing the team? But separate of that, the roster needs a lot of work. There are 17 players out of or potentially out of contract at the end of the season. I think that number is right. Mike Kuhn will tell me if it's wrong.
It's either 16 or 17.
Something like that. Yeah. It's in the mid to high teens. There currently are 2 people in the front office technical staff. Yeah. Mike Burns and Jacob Peterson. As far as full-time employees, I'm sure they have contract scouts and things like that. But as far as full-time employees, you have Mike Burns, the sporting director, Jacob Peterson, who's a domestic scout, and that's it. So I can understand some level of concern regarding how they're possibly going to do this. I will say, and I've said this for several weeks, the chief soccer officer search is ongoing, is progressing, and that's the best that's all I can really say about it. I can't give you a date. I can't give you a prediction. I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm just going to say that it's moving in the right direction as far as them making that decision. Once that decision is made, I think that there will be a number of dominoes that fall very quickly behind it. I'm not sure the coach is one of them,
because
but
the
I think
CSO is going to want to bring in like all
their own
their
staff.
people, and that's going to be part
And
of the negotiating process.
I promise you that's a huge part of it.
Sure.
Like what people are coming into what positions, and what that means for Mike Burns, what that means for Jacob Peterson, what that means for a variety of other individuals. Additionally, I'm sure there's additional technical staff that they'd like to hire that they really can't do until that's in place. Like, there's just so many things. My expectation is that the dominoes are going to start falling once that happens. And I think it's going to be a barrage of news through into the end of the year once that happens because of it. It's just, we're kind of in that, like, Judge Smales, well, we're waiting kind of thing. Like, we don't know anything for the most part. Like, most of the people following this team just have no concept of what's going on behind the scenes. And I wish some of that, just some of it, was a little bit more transparent so that it could give people the feeling like this is going in a positive direction. But I also understand why they don't want to do that, because you don't want to share information and then have expectations, and then something falls through, and then you're in a much worse place as a result of it. I'm more of the opinion that there is information you can share to at least make it show like you're trying to do stuff.
Yep.
That is also a residual part of the Peter Vermees regime. Although the vice president of communications has been there before Peter Vermees. So, I mean, that may just be his style, and I'm not taking a shot at Robo. I'm really not. I understand why they make the decisions they do. And I'm not going to take shots at Robo. I actually am. I like Robo a lot, and I think I get why those decisions are made. But there's some pent-up angst regarding what this team needs to do. And for the sickos like us, especially the ones in the Discord going, there's 29 other teams in this league, and many of them, we see all the moves they're making in the summer transfer window, and we're like hoping to see, this is supposedly the second window of a 3-window rebuild. I'm not sure how valid that statement is, because it was made by Peter Vermees before he was fired. So, like, there's some context to that. But I will say this. I talked to a lot of people around the club. There is a lot of optimism about what the future holds for this club. I will just say it that way. And a lot more optimism than I saw 3 or 4 months ago. Okay?
Yeah, that's good.
And so that is the best way that I can sort of state what the current status is. I don't know what your thoughts are, or kind of where you're at, or what you're feeling about this, but
I mean, I am very frustrated that they don't have a CSO yet. I understand that those things take time, but it's like,
you're frustrated as a fan that you don't have that closure, right? Is that it more than anything?
No, because like, to me, nothing can move forward without that, right? Right,
but that's what I'm saying. You need that closure, so we can start being optimistic about the signings this guy or gal is gonna make, because they're in place. Right?
I don't want them making big signings without having that structure in place. Like, I think it's important.
So there's all this pent-up anticipation towards that happening,
right?
And you're not getting the release of that because that hasn't happened, and then you can't be like excited about the signings they might make, because they really shouldn't make any exciting signings when that person's not 100%. Yeah, so you're sort of like, and I understand that. I'm not trying to diminish any of those things.
But Drew, at the same time, like I think that everybody should bear in mind that just having that in place and just in making moves, that doesn't mean shit necessarily, right? Like look at Atlanta. Everybody thought that Atlanta was like headed in the right direction now, and they have all these players being signed. They have a new front office in place, and a lot of people who were previously successful doing that, and they suck ass. And so it's not. it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. And so I just like, as a fan, I don't want this to be a stop and start process for 3, 4, 5 seasons. I want them to take their time and get the right person with the right staff in the first time, and I want it built back the way that it should be correctly the first time.
Well, that's the thing, though. You're speaking out of both parts of your mouth at that point. You're like,
No,
I
I'm
want a
not.
CSO, but I want them to
Right.
get the right guy.
Right. No, so that's why I'm like, okay, like, I mean, I get the frustration is basically what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
but I mean, realistically, if it takes this long to get the right person, okay, then you better get the right person, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Is that the longer
wish-
the longer
man.
they let it play out, right? The less margin of error they have, from my perspective. Because I want them to do a good job, and I'm perceiving that by taking their time, they're doing due diligence, and they're going to do a good job, and get the right person in, and that's all well and good if that's actually what happens.
Totally understand. I get it, right? But that also like builds up the anticipation even more. And then if you see a hiring that is like what? Like the one that happened January of last year. I'm not even going to say his name.
No, but that's legit though. I mean, that's a legit, like, what, right? Like, are you serious?
Well, no, everyone did that. Everyone
Yeah.
did that except anyway. So like I get it. I get where the apprehension comes from. Like it makes sense to me. Perhaps I'm more bullish on it because I have more confidence in the people that I've discussed this with and because I have that, and I don't want to lord the fact that I have information over people, so I hate having this conversation. I will just say that in March, I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what the fuck are we doing? And the decisions that have been made since then, and that I've been able to sort of, get some information about, interact with people about to this point, are all trending in the right direction as far as I'm concerned. They still have to get it right. I want to be really clear. I don't have a name. I don't know who it might be. I don't know who's on the short list. I don't know any of those things. I do know that there is progress being made in that direction, but I have no idea. Like, I'm not going to predict a date. I'm not going to predict any of that stuff. But I do feel good that there are smart people evaluating this, and there are enough checks and balances in place to ensure they don't do this poorly.
Well, I think we all certainly hope you're right, Drew.
Yeah. I think the other thing too, from a personnel perspective or from a roster perspective, and I said this in the Discord, the performance of Mike Burns in 12 months,
Impressive.
pretty fucking good, honestly.
We were pretty skeptical of the hire because
For good reason.
He hadn't done
For good
anything,
reason.
and when he did, it was with New England, and that didn't turn out necessarily great. And but yeah, he's been extremely competent.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and making rational, thoughtful decisions about players,
Right. Weird.
and not. I think so. Here's the thing: Burns was known for his time in New England as being kind of a dick, kind of an asshole, a little bit hard to deal with, like very New England sort of Bostonian, right? And don't get me wrong, like I think it seems like from negotiating with him is still extremely difficult. Which is probably good for sporting.
Yeah,
honestly.
we want that. That's good.
One of the problems that Peter Vermees had the last 3 or 4 years he was there is he gave out too many freaking like nice guy contracts.
Yeah.
Like honestly, for me is because, and he said this in the interview with the guys in Michigan. He was like, I don't want to be a GM anymore. I just want to be a coach. I don't want to deal with any of that anymore. He said before he left Sporting, like it was such a struggle to like be like in a negotiating table about contracts and then go try to coach that guy, right? Like, and that makes sense. Like it
Yep.
does make sense. And so Mike is not bound by any of that stuff. His job is to build the best roster he possibly can. He's going to negotiate and he's going to try to work any situation the best way he possibly can. And I feel like outside of Shapi Suleimanov, the combo meal, the the Aris Thessaloniki combo meal, he has done a pretty good job. I don't put Joaquin Fernandez on him because I think that is totally a Peter Vermees signing that happened
Agree.
after he arrived. And I don't put the right back situation on him either because I think that was also a Peter Vermees thing.
Agree.
I think Vermees was like, I got Jake Davis and Kyrie Shelton. We don't need a right back.
Yep.
So, I mean, maybe I'm giving him too much of a pass, but he participated in those conversations for sure. But regardless, for the most part, he's done a pretty good job with the opportunities that he's had. We'll have to see with Alan Montes. Obviously, this is pretty much all on him. There was nobody else around when he made that one, so we'll have to see if Montes works out. But I think that we became so like used to Peter Vermees' life that it's hard. We're struggling to separate from that history.
Yeah.
A little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think any serious fan and anybody connected to the club is experiencing that same thing. It's tough. It's things were done in a certain way for so long that it's just sort of muscle memory to keep feeling that way about those.
Which is also why it's so hard to recover from.
Yeah.
When he left. And I know we're all like, hey, time's ticking, and that's true. 100%. The clock is ticking, and they have a short window to get personnel in place to be able to make changes. But also, it was the beginning of April when Vermees left? It's been 3 months.
Yeah. But I think that it's valid to look at it. Yes, it's 3 months, but this is a hire. Obviously, it's not going to have any effect on the current window, right? And so this is a hire that if anything substantial is going to be done in the winter window, and by everybody's account, it has to be. Yeah. Then that those positions have to be filled ASAP because that.
What I'm trying to tell you is everyone understands
that. I know.
Everyone understands how time sensitive this situation is. I promise you. I promise you. I feel like at some level, because this is the problem with this club, because of the sort of opaque nature of how information is around this club, you're left to just be like, do these guys have any fucking idea what they're doing?
That's very true.
And one thing I have no problem saying is they 100% do have a fucking idea what they're doing. And more than that, they're actually really good at their jobs. Most of them are really, really good at their jobs. So, like, I understand where the frustration comes from. I really get it. But it's hard to say have faith because we've been doing the faith thing for a while, but I will say that the guy that we were asked to put faith in is no longer there.
Right.
And I think that they're trending towards an organization that is much more modern and much more familiar to what you see across the league. And that is coming. And I know that everybody is so anxious for it to be in place so that they can feel positive about it. And then when you lose 2-0 to an expansion team who is leading the Western Conference, it's like, what are we doing?
Yep.
I get it.
Yep.
I do.
And that, and I know that, some folks feel this way, and I feel this way at times. It's just, when you start to look at just the way that other clubs have modernized and the way that other clubs do things, and it just seems to be just galaxies away from specifically what the way that Sporting had been doing things. And I think that we had this feeling for a while that the club was kind of falling behind in a lot of key metrics. And then, it just seems like, with Zavagnin and the lack of front office build out, it just seems like a complete treading water while everybody else it keeps moving forward and getting further ahead. And so
they're going to have to be really aggressive to catch up. There's no doubt about that. That's the thing,
right? I mean, it's a big catch up. But also, the positive thing is that MLS is a league where you can make up ground really quickly, like in one off season. I mean, you can really, right? I mean, look at Vancouver. Look at
Vancouver did almost nothing with their roster. In fact, they sent one of their
right.
DPs away,
right?
And their other DP hasn't played all year.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that Kerry Zavagnin is Jesper Sorensen. I'm not saying that they're going to hire Jesper Sorensen, and I think that a lot of other things happen to make Vancouver good.
Yeah, I noticed you're not saying he's not. So,
I mean, look, who can say?
Who can say?
Who can possibly say? I think that, I think that you're making the point that I was meant to make, which was that it's MLS, man. You never know. You never know, and one good offseason can change things for any team.
Yep, absolutely.
So, I'm not saying I'm predicting that. I'm just saying that I think that I don't think things are as dire as some people think they are. Yeah. And I want to talk to y'all in December. Let me just put it that way.
Hopefully we'll still be doing this in December. So
exactly. I think that there's some opportunity there that it's hard to see. The forest is hard to see through the trees right now. And I get it. And part of it is due to the fact, like I said this on the Discord, I think they needed to move on from Vermees in 2023 before they had the thing at the farm and all the other nonsense that happened.
Yeah.
If they do that, that was the time to do it. I think that run they made after that and getting into the playoffs and all that stuff, I think it set the team back 2 years. Yep. I really do. Because it was fool's gold and it was not replicable. And we talked about all that stuff at the time, that they were vastly overperforming expectations. And I'm not going to take away, I was at those games against St. Louis, or I was at that home game against St. Louis in the playoffs. And I remember what that felt like. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But we're paying for it now.
Yeah.
Nothing's free in this world. That's kind of how it goes. All right, let's move on to potpourri. Just like your favorite Jeopardy category, we're going to discuss a couple things in and around the Sporting Kansas City MLS soccer sphere. The Kansas City Current win again. It was not the game we were expecting from the Current by any means. Good on the Utah Royals. The Ewing theory, as you said it, might be alive in Utah. They had a very they were very organized and very defensive and sort of limited the Current's ability to do the things they wanted to do, kind of like what Sporting did to San Diego.
Yeah.
And still ended up losing. So very similar to what Sporting did to San Diego. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty impressed, honestly, with how the Royals sort of limited the things that the Current really like to try to do. I don't think that they ever... There were a couple chances that they created from it. What I find the difference is between the Current and Sporting is that the Current are perfectly fine to just wait until the 80th minute until you just can't cover us anymore and then overwhelm. And it was just another one of those circumstances. Like it sort of seemed like a nothing play, and then all of a sudden Tem was on the ball near the goal, and it's 1-0 and it's game over.
That's what happens when you have elite players.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think
that's what makes them elite,
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, she's not going to win the Ballon d'Or, and it's a fucking crime. But I mean, because the people that vote on the Ballon d'Or only care about what happens in France and Spain. So that one of those players is going to win. But that's true on the men's side as well. When's the last time a Premier League player won the Ballon d'Or?
I have no idea. I think it
Best league
was,
on earth, and
yeah,
it's never the best player from that league that wins
yeah,
it. I mean, part of it is because you had the Ronaldo Messi thing for so
for
long, but still.
for a
But
decade.
remember
Yeah,
when Luka Modric won it
yeah.
for winning or for getting not winning, getting to the final of the World Cup. So I think that there it's just I I don't even know what to say. I have no more like adjectives for the current. They're just
Inevitable.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I think I saw it on my blue sky, I said it and like 14 other people said it at the same time. Temwa is inevitable.
Yeah. She's amazing.
She just kind of does it. I will say, and Ali Sentner's going to have to learn that she doesn't need to shoot from 30 yards out with this team. Okay? She just doesn't need to do that. She did it several times in this game, did not do much to assuage the concerns that she thinks that's what she has to do.
Maybe she has license to, man. Maybe Vlatko's just like
I would dare
let it
to bet
go.
Vlatko wants that shot a little closer to goal. With the weapons that they have,
Yeah.
I promise Vlatko wants a much shorter range shot being taken. So she'll get there. She's 21 and her only professional experience is in Utah. So
Yeah.
let's give it a second. She hasn't had much time. All right, Tim Ford versus the Vancouver Whitecaps fans. What do you think about this? Are you aware of this whole situation?
I am just sort of vaguely aware on the periphery. I think it's I don't know. I mean, it's.
All right, let me catch everybody up.
I don't like talking about refs. It's hilarious in that respects, but okay.
Let me catch everybody up.
It seems made for Mark Kapfer. Just
it is the Mark Kapfer.
Sink your teeth
and
into
George
it.
And George Shook. Both of them can like literally just bathe in this. So the whole story is I guess Vancouver Whitecaps fans like dug up Tim Ford's wife's Instagram, and so Tim Ford, pro referee, as in he works for PRO, the referee organization that covers MLS games, and he has been an MLS referee for a couple of years. His assignments have been dwindling of late because he's not that good. Let's just be honest. He's had some difficult circumstances. He apparently reffed the second game of the 3-game series between Vancouver and LAFC in the playoffs in 2023. And that was the one where Vanni Sartini like made the comment about the guy's going to end up dead or whatever and got fined and suspended for like 6 games. So there were some controversial calls in that game. And that led Vancouver fans to just like start hating this guy. And then just, I guess he reffed a game this weekend. He called a second yellow and a penalty. He called a second yellow on a guy that got rescinded by Disco today, by the way, which will lead no more fuel to this fire. And also he called a penalty that was dubious, or was supposedly dubious as well. And Vancouver fans are like, this guy's against us. He's an LAFC fan, and like went and into his wife's Instagram and found pictures of them going to games in like 2018. Like the only picture of Tim Ford, I guess, at a game was from like 7 years ago, but there are pictures of his wife and kids doing like a meet and greet with LAFC players. I don't know. She's since made her Instagram private. I've not seen any of this. I don't know. I just find the whole thing like the most like sort of MLS sicko fan ridiculousness that you can possibly imagine. They were like digging into referees' wife's Instagrams to find out like, oh, he's an LAFC fan. He's biased. Supposedly, Pro did an investigation. Jeff Carlisle's got an article on ESPN. Go read it. It goes into all the details of this. They did an investigation. They found nothing. Apparently, Tim Ford was never wearing LAFC gear in any of these pictures. So that was like their thing. It's like he's not necessarily connected to them. I don't know. Supposedly,
it sounds like a lot of bad decisions made by multiple people, including the people who decided to go research his wife's Instagram. But
like, you know, everybody just needs to calm the fuck down.
Don't go to games. If you're a ref, if you go to games, if you want to go to games, don't make a big deal of it. Don't have a meet and greet for the players. Like pay a regular price for a ticket. Don't take Instagram pictures.
Your wife and kids can't be a fan of a team if you're a ref now?
Sure they can. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe they don't need to be posted online. You know, you don't have to post everything you do online. Come on.
Yeah, trust me. I mean, having been a person who at one point posted a lot of things online and now really rarely posts things online, I
Amen.
understand.
Same, brother.
I understand the dichotomy of that situation. But that's what I'm saying. It's like all of this seems just like
Silly.
I don't know, silly. Yeah, just little.
It's silly.
We're all doing too much on this one.
Yeah.
The fact that we just spent 5 minutes talking about it is probably doing too much, to be completely honest. But
Agree.
I thought the story was interesting at the least. I don't think that anything here is necessarily like. I don't think the integrity of the game has been, breached in some way. I just thought. I will say this. I had a thought earlier today, which was perhaps Vancouver being a trash team for the last decade plus helped shield us from the fact that their fans are fucking insane.
Right. That could be the case. They seem emboldened. Speaking of emboldened fans, Drew.
Yeah, no shit. Jesus. Okay, let's move on to one thing to look for.
Orlando's fans are terrible.
They are.
That was the connection I was trying to make.
That was the connection you were trying to make.
Yeah.
I mean, Orlando's. I don't know. I don't even put Orlando's. I mean, they are because didn't they go after Matt Doyle for like 5 years for not like rating their team as good or something like that?
Yeah,
like,
they're just they're hooligans in the worst sense.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that there were that many like fervent Orlando City fans, but okay.
I think that they made a big splash when they first came into the league, and then don't you remember they were
they had Kaká and then they had Nani, right?
And don't forget Dom Dwyer.
Well, they took him back, right? Because he was on the USL team.
And then they were convinced that he should be
1.7 million in GAM. Do you remember that? Like I think that was the trade amount. It was like one of the highest trades in league history for like years after that. I think Darlington Nagbe was the one that broke it.
Yeah.
Was the one that broke the trade record for it. This is another one that Mike's gonna correct me on. I might be overstating 1.7 million, but it was over a million in GAM. It was over a million in GAM, and I'm almost positive that Darlington Nagbe to Atlanta United was the trade that broke it. But anyway, yeah, that was back when Peter Vermees was a good GM. He got $1 million plus for Ike Opara. There was a lot of things that he was doing. He was doing deals at the time. Anyway, I think that yeah, whatever. The fans, I'm not worried about. Orlando playing really good soccer. Absolutely sort of tore apart Miami this weekend.
A messyless Miami.
It was messyless Miami. Also, some of that had to do with the fact that Oscar Ustari is fucking terrible.
Yeah, he's
a terrible goalkeeper. Yeah. Can you imagine like assembling all of these unbelievably talented players and then deciding to put Oscar Ustari in goal?
You blame Coach Leo for that one.
It is his fault. Like it really is. Like it's not moshing around. I mean, Leo is the one that wants all his buddies on the team.
Yep. Somebody needs to say no, dude. Some of them are.
Even
good.
just put Rios Novo in there. He was fine in Leagues Cup. Like just put Rios Novo in there. Like I don't know why Ustari went back, but he had a fucking shocker of a game in this one. He isn't like statistically as terrible as I thought he was when I looked him up, but he's still has had some absolutely just terrible games, and it just they also have no defenders.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, when you spend all your money in the front six positions, like this is sort of what happens in MLS.
Uh-huh.
But what was most noteworthy to me is that Martin Ojeda and Luis Muriel were super dialed in with each other in this game, and that is a problem. And they were lethal in transition.
Yeah.
That was the thing that I really noted in this one. And that is what Orlando wants to do. And I think Carey said in press this week, he was like, he's like, this is probably the most talented team that Oscar Pereira has ever had.
Yeah.
And
they're good.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, they're good, and they're a good attacking team too. Like traditionally, Oscar's teams have been very sort of defensively sound, and this team is that, but they
They
also
are 100% that, but they also have good attackers.
they've got the juice too, and so they're a stiff test.
100%. That's the thing is like they still have really good defenders and a really good defensive shape.
Yeah.
And then they also have Martin Ojeda and then Luis Muriel and Marco Pasalic and Ivan Angulo, right? Like they have like good players, right? But yeah, they've got their back line I actually like a lot. Schlegel, Freeman, Brecalo, like they have good defenders too.
Yep.
And they have yours and my favorite MLS midfielder, Edward Atuesta.
I don't know if he's my favorite midfielder.
You don't like Atuesta? I love Atuesta, man.
He's okay. He's okay.
What?
I think they're.
I thought you were an Atuesta stan. You don't like Atuesta?
He's not up there.
He's one of my favorites in the league.
I will say, like their midfield is good. Like it's very good, and like that's. I think the midfield matchups are an important thing to keep an eye on in this game, and it'll be really interesting to see whether Sporting Kansas City rolls out in a 4-3-3 or sticks with the double pivot.
Just a second. I know no one's watching this on video. Is your son sporting platinum blonde?
Yeah, he is. He dyed his hair in Vietnam.
Cool.
Is it?
No.
It's not
I'm
cool.
Being facetious. I'm being facetious. Sorry, we're recording a podcast. We gotta keep going.
He came in carrying a cane. He got from my dad. He just visited my parents. He came in with one of my dad's canes, and he referred to it just now as his pimp stick.
Jesus Christ, kids are so stupid.
Dude, kids are stupid for real. A 20-year-old male child is one of the dumbest human beings on the planet. Thankfully, mine is actually pretty good, but man, just in general, yikes.
All right, moving on to Orlando City. I couldn't stop. I was just like, why is Cameron platinum blonde? What happened?
He wasn't standing out enough in Vietnam. He had to double down.
Okay. All right. Orlando City. Yeah, they do. They have a very good midfield. This team is good. Like they're a good team.
Yeah, they're good all around. Yep.
The Eastern Conference is so tough that they don't necessarily look as good in the standings as you would expect. But I think they're a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference as far as I'm concerned. And this is gonna be a tough match in their stadium in August in Orlando.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's gonna be rough, man.
Yep.
It is going to be rough. It will be a good test to see if Sporting is able to maintain this level of defensive execution that they were against San Diego.
Well, that's why I pointed out the formation thing, right? Like I think if they trot out a double pivot, I think that's a signal that they have kind of acquiesced to the fact that that's the way that they can get results down the line. And if not, then I guess not. I think that they're again prioritizing development over results. And like as I said before, I don't really care either way. But it would be nice to see them be competitive.
Yeah, that's and I think that's my main thing. Like this is the last of the like really tough matches that Sporting has this year. Yeah. I mean, well, no, they have Seattle again, don't they? Man, this whole run.
Seattle is great, man.
They're rolling right now. I totally forgot about that.
They're so good.
I forgot that they're at Seattle after this. Never mind. There's 2 more really tough ones. And then they get at least to a part of the schedule where they might start picking up results again. So yeah, I'm looking for a continuation of positive performance, honestly. Do they get the win or not? I don't know that it's that important. I'm looking for consistency of positive performance from the seats. Is he wearing like a freaking? Oh my God, your son! I don't know what's happening. I didn't even. He's got like a 1920s golfer hat on now. Like
probably. He's. Do
you see this? I know
Yeah,
this is terrible for an audio medium.
It's hard to take him seriously for real. Do you know?
Guys, I'm sorry. I know I might have to put this video on the internet just so everyone can see this part. I might clip just the part where Cameron's walking around because it is he looks like a 1998 boy band member. He really does.
All right, I'll put a picture on Discord. I got a picture of him.
Perfect. Yeah, you got to throw it in the pod chat on the Discord.
I could even take a picture sometime of the replica jacket that Ryan Gosling wore in the movie Drive that he wears very proudly. It's like the satin jacket with the scorpion on the back. He loves that thing.
I mean,
hey, Drew, kids today, they just wear whatever, man. They have no cringe at all. Like they wear Birkenstocks.
Well, I mean, when I was 20,
with socks
I had no concept of cringe
no,
either.
right. But they don't. But there's no rules. They just wear whatever, man. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Craziness.
All right. On that note, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We will talk to y'all next week.
Go sporting.
Fortuitous.